Good evening. In December 2020, I started a petition leave for bereavement leave online. And with this leave, I want to achieve that every employee has the right to take time and space to restore peace of mind and stability in daily life. It has already been signed more than 77,000 times, and I've been invited on national radio and television to explain this bereavement leave. And this is very important because the impact of loss is heavily underestimated. Every aspect on your daily life, on your physical and mental condition, is shaken to its foundations. And I would like to illustrate this with my personal story, and that begins in May 2011. My husband Frans and I discuss his medical research results with the specialist, and he has an "you can order your coffin soon" face. He tells us, "Frans, you are terminally ill, I can't treat you, and I can't give you a prognosis." 6 weeks later, he dies. At that moment, I am already in an emotional roller coaster. The stress makes me so dizzy and nauseous, I have to rest during the day as well. I am happy if I sleep more than 4 to 5 hours a night. And I know nothing about the grieving process. One moment I'm laughing, the next I cry. At one point I'm sharp and alert, the next I'm walking around in a daze and I don't know what to do. And it's not just that I need to deal with a change in my daily life. I just lost an emotional connection with Frans. I just lost my best friend, my cheerleader, my shoulder to cry on. And do you know how unfair it feels that my healthy husband dies far too young, while out there all kinds of people are walking around who don't take good care of themselves? Besides dealing with all these mixed emotions, I have to face a lot of administration work to be done, for which you need to be sharp of mind, and I am in a very unstable state. The day after the funeral, I print out a 2-page checklist, all of which, with the action points, all of which are a confrontation with death and rub salt into the wound. Let me give you a few examples. I call the bank. When I tell them that I need access to Francis' account because of his death, I begin to cry. And that feels very uncomfortable and awkward. The sympathetic lady tells me that she needs a certificate of inheritance. 3 days later, I sit with the notary, and he tells me a lot of legal stuff I really don't understand and I which forget immediately. After about 6 days, I receive the certificate of inheritance, which I can send to the bank, and after another 2 days, I forget. After 2 days, I have access to Francis' account. Another example. I make a financial overview. It needs to be that I need to sell my 2 cars to buy a cheaper one. Luckily, I can continue to live in our home. But the mortgage needs to be put into my name. 6 weeks later, I sit at the notary signing new papers. And meanwhile, Francis' employer comes by to pick up his laptop and mobile phone, and that is not really a pleasant visit. So it takes me a few months before I completed the 2-page checklist. And so it takes me a few months to wait for the checklist. After this survival period, Okay. How could I have done all this if I was supposed to get to work, working full-time again, while I was trially merely to survive? After this period, survival period, most people thought that I was okay again. I didn't cry and I was working full-time again. But I still need to keep all the balls in the air by myself. I still need to cope with handling family festivities like birthdays, Christmas, and graduations. And the realization sinks in more and more that I will be the only parent for the rest of my life. And that still feels the hardest. Who do I turn to if there is anything wrong with one of my children? This second period is a very underestimated period of grief and mourning. It is a silent period with hidden pain. Most people don't want to bother others anymore with their sad stories and their sad feelings. They just put on a brave face. But it is the intense realization of the irreversibility of death that makes it very difficult to handle. People need to give up the picture of a future together, and they need to rebuild a new life without the person he or she loves. So with this in mind, I would like to give some tips how you can help and support a colleague who just lost a loved one. First of all, agree amongst yourself who is the one to make the first call. Ask if it's convenient for you to call, and if not, make another appointment. Just listen to the story. Don't advise. And certainly don't ask going back to work. Probably your colleague feels guilty already, and that alone gives already a lot of stress. And when your colleague really wants to visit work to drop in, then agree how you will arrange it. Maybe your colleague, he or she, wants to send an email first. Or maybe he just wants to walk in and drink a cup of coffee or explain the situation with the others. And when your colleague really, really wants to go back to work to do his, her, or own job, keep in mind that he or she is in a survival state. That probably they have mental complaints like absence, lack of concentration, and emotions can pop up unexpectedly. Being flexible is the answer. Adjust work tasks that suit the mental abilities. Be flexible with the working hours. Adjust the working hours, maybe due to the home family rush hours. And when, after a longer period in the second phase, please keep in mind that this is still a very difficult phase with the hidden pain. Be especially aware of the Father and Mother's Days, the other family activities and festivities, because what for you is normal and self-evident is no longer so for the other. For example, holidays can be very confronting. Before you send an email about the holiday planning, inform your colleague beforehand. Be interested how he or she is coping and doing and wants to spend the holidays. And even after the first difficult year, keep an eye on your colleague regularly. Still continue to lend a listening ear and ask how he or she is coping. This kind of attention will help very much. I hope you now have a better understanding of the grief and loss. All this considered, This made me realize that something needed to be done for people and employees who just lost someone dear. And this is why I started a petition for bereavement leave. And I want, with the bereavement leave, a legal right to a tailor-made, flexible use of a given pot of time to use when it's necessary. But most importantly, bereavement leave is merely just an aid. Please apply the tips I just gave you. Thank you.